being coached. This is more or less just an outlet for me. I want to talk to somebody about it, but I don't. There's so many, what's the word I'm looking for, assumptions that come along when you talk about doing a new program, a new coach. So I don't want to talk to somebody about it because I don't feel like being judged, which is, in my opinion, a very human thing. I've never had a coach in my life in powerlifting. I've been powerlifting since about 2008. I've always done my own training. I based it off of what I did in bodybuilding, so I was a bodybuilder before that. My training was pretty much just progressive overload. I would train for a month triples, a month doubles, a month singles. And I would try to peak for a meet that way. This worked for, I'd probably say up until 3 years ago. I hit my biggest squat 1102. I hit my biggest bench 750. And then it's just been pretty dormant since then. My deadlift was still kind of hit or miss. I still hit my biggest deadlift 849 probably about a year and a half ago. But my lifts definitely started to flatline. There was someone who approached me, I would say probably 2 or 3 years ago, and they've been kind of consistently approaching me, maybe like once a year. He's one of the best strength coaches in the world, one of the best powerlifting coaches in the world. His name is Shane Sweat. If you're not familiar, maybe you're familiar with Laura Phelps. And if you're not familiar with Laura Phelps, maybe you're familiar with Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell. Shane Sweat approached me, and he's been inquiring about coaching me for a while now. And I finally gave in and said yes. I knew going into it that it was going to be extremely difficult because I've never had a coach. I feel like I know what does and doesn't work for me. Obviously, I probably don't. I don't like necessarily answering to someone, or I necessarily don't like having to explain myself to someone. So, Shane has been coaching me since May. It is now the end of September. We are 6 weeks out from the WPO. The WPO, the World Powerlifting Organization. It's a pretty big meet, pretty big international meet. This stuff was really big, I think, like in the early 2000s. If you were a multiply lifter, you aspired to compete in those meets. It's coming back this year for the first time. The best powerlifters in the world, best multiply powerlifters in the world will be at this competition. So I wanted to bring something different, and it seemed like a good opportunity to take Shane up on his offer, and I did. Now Shane's training, this is just my opinion. Shane seems like he wants to train people to be strong, athletic, healthy, just extremely dominant in anything that they do. Like he wants to train world-class lifters, like people who want to be the absolute best in what they do, which is amazing, and he does it. I find myself thinking many times, is that really me? You know, I love powerlifting, but I love to have fun doing it. I don't know necessarily that I want to be the absolute best in the world. That's a whole nother level of dedication that I don't know I'm willing to go through. But anyway, I've always focused on being just strong as fuck. My training has always kind of revolved around just being strong. I necessarily didn't care about, being athletic or flexible or strong everywhere. having good GPP. I've never necessarily concerned myself with those things. I just wanted to be strong as fuck. Shane wants you to be strong. He wants to be athletic, great GPP. You know, he wants you to be in top shape, and that's what he expects, and his program reflects that. I come from a background of probably doing 4 to 5 exercises, you know, the main lift, and then 4 accessories, and then maybe some abs, 4 days a week, and then 2 days were just kind of like light bodybuilding type fuck around stuff, you know, still working hard, but it wasn't like powerlifting necessarily. Now working with Shane, it's 6 days a week, 2 days, no, let me rephrase that. It's 3 days for lower, 3 days for upper. It's max effort, dynamic effort, and then special exercises. Special exercises is, I would call, active recovery. So I go from 4 hard days a week and two like fun days. I would say fun, two fun days a week to 6 hard days a week. Like, in my opinion, hard days. Like, especially if you're doing what he asks of you and taking it to the limits that he asks of you. That's 6 hard days a week. And I go from the 4 to 5 exercises to anywhere from 8, 9, 10 exercises, and my work capacity. I should say my capacity. That's not what I can do yet. My work expectancy has probably doubled. My workload. That's a better way to say it. My workload has probably doubled. And let's see, I started in May. So I've been with him for 4 months now. I've been able to finish, I would say, 90% of all of my workouts. There was a few days in the beginning there where I just couldn't get through all the stuff. I've been there for 3 hours already and still got 4 exercises left. I'm like, I'm not going to stay here for 4 to 5 hours. There might have been a day or two here or there where something hurt and I just couldn't work through it. And there was only one day where I just mentally failed. My first exercise was a max effort squat, I think it was. Shane's really specific about not lifting max effort movements, and I missed a squat, which I'm not supposed to do in training. Got extremely frustrated, and I did maybe 1 to 1.5 of my workouts, my exercises after that, and I just said fuck it, and I went home. Like, I was so physically and mentally drained and frustrated. Like, I was like, fuck it, I'm going home. So I would say 90%. I've been able to do 90% so far of everything he's asked. But there's been 2, I would say, situations where my body was not able to keep up with the workload. I would say about 4 weeks ago. I actually thought I had injured my knee really bad. It turns out that I just had really severe tendonitis in my left knee. So I had to stop. I believe I stopped squatting for 2 weeks. And on the 3rd week I started up again. And now, I would say about 4 weeks later, it just feels like my body's falling apart. My left shoulder is pretty fucked up right now. My left knee is starting to flare up again, which is extremely frustrating. And I find myself in a huge dilemma. I'm sure a lot of people feel this way when they've had a coach, or maybe they haven't. Maybe people have had coaches for a long time, have no problem with this. But me, it's a double-edged sword to talk to your coach about problems, in my opinion. I feel like if I tell my coach that I can't do the exercises, or it hurts, or I can't keep up, or if I'm in pain, or I'm a pussy, I can't do it, I'm just a massive pussy, you can't do the workouts, you're just a wuss, you can't hang. But then on the flip side, you don't say anything for fear of judgment, and then you just keep working yourself into the ground until you get injured. Now, I'm not injured. My body feels like one big mass of inflammation. My shoulder is getting to the point where I can't bench, like physically can't bench, like my shoulder won't allow it. But, it's a double-edged sword. I tell them that I can't hang with the workouts and I'm a pussy. If I don't tell them, then I keep pushing to get injured. So I wanted to talk to him about this, but I just don't want that judgment. And for all I know, he might not act like that. He very well could be like, okay, let's take a week off or whatever. But it's just that, anxiety that I'm sure a lot of people like myself might feel, to get that judgment. So I'm at a place right now where today I'm 6 weeks out. My knee and my shoulder are starting to go backwards, so I'm gonna try to take a week off. I have shirted bench tomorrow. I have not been able to get in a shirt this training cycle yet, touching, so I'll do whatever I have to do to get through that, because I need to get into a shirt. I need to feel the motion, feel the weight, because I haven't been in a shirt since March. So I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get through that tomorrow night, and then try very hard to take the week off and not do anything. Just let my body calm down, let my brain calm down, because next Sunday, a week from today, is max set for squats, full gear, straps up, max set for single, and I need that workout as well. Like, in my mind, that's the most important thing right now, is getting to Monday and then getting to Sunday, because I haven't squatted full gear yet, I don't believe. I think I did it one other time, but I need to work in my gear. Shane's program, you do a lot of work in just briefs and very little work in your shirt. A lot of the work is done out of your gear or with minimal gear. I still need some, personally, mentally, I still need some timing in my gear, because I feel like sometimes I feel like if you don't use it, you lose it as far as technique. So I really need that day. So I highly doubt I'll tell Shane about this. I'm just going to keep to myself, most likely. Take this week off, try to take this week off, and go for it next week, which will be 5 weeks out from the WPO. Luckily, with Shane's program, I think we take a lot of time off before the meet, so that'll be good. But that's just me getting shit off my chest, because I don't feel comfortable talking to someone about it. The person I should be talking about it is my coach, but I don't feel comfortable talking to him about it because of the fears I had presented earlier. And if I talk to anyone else about it, it doesn't even. What does it matter if I talk to somebody else? They're not my coach. They're not the one I should be talking to it about. It's like, if you have a problem with someone, let's say, and then you talk to somebody else about your problems, obviously they're going to hear one side of the story and they're going to agree with you. They're going to be answers you want to hear. The right thing to do would be talk to talk to the person that you're having an issue with. They're going to tell you the truth whether you want to hear it or not. And fortunately, they hear your side, and you can work it out accordingly. But this is all just a massive combination of, my insecurities, my never experiencing a coach before, never having to have that relationship with a coach, the give and take, tell them what's on your mind, what's not. And one other thing I thought of, I don't want to explain to someone that I can't do the workouts because my body is just like shutting down, because I know the difference between not wanting to do the work because it's hard and it sucks, and I know the difference between not wanting to do the work because my body is going backwards and it's not helping. I don't want to let someone else assume what's going on in my head. That was a part of me not wanting a coach for most of my lifting career. I know the difference, but if I tell them that, are they going to know, am I being sincere, or are they just going to assume, he's just being a pussy, he can't do the workouts because they're hard, which isn't the case. So a lot of that shit goes into having a coach for the first time. So far, the strength gains that I have felt with Shane are awesome. Like the few times when I've actually gotten to squat without a box, my squats took off. We just tested my bench, my raw bench. I hit 500 to a one board, and that's by far the most I've ever done. But either way, my lifts are skyrocketing. It's just been this peaks and valleys of my body, resisting the training and the inflammation. Like right now, my body just feels like one massive ball of inflammation. Massive ball of inflammation, and just tight cords. It's just kind of frustrating, but I would say the 5 months has been that, peaks and valleys of my body going up and down through inflammation. But I feel like my body is getting a lot stronger than what it was. I feel like this was the change I need. I'm still up in the air if I'm going to work with Shane after. We'll see. We'll see how the meet goes. You just got having faith in a system you don't know is something that I struggle with. Right now, I'm just going on blind faith that when I get to the meet, I'm going to be prepared because I've never done this before. I have nothing to fall back on, no memories to fall back on, or past experiences. And the internal struggle is just, I don't necessarily have fun with my training anymore, but I'm getting better. Some days I miss having fun with my training, but stalemated. So right now I'm not necessarily enjoying my training, but I'm getting better. So it's just something I have to evaluate. What's more important to me after this meet, is chasing massive numbers important to me, or is enjoying life, enjoying my training, and enjoying the balance between feeling good and being stronger. So I honestly have nothing bad to say about Shane. He's been more than generous, more than helpful. It's just my own personal insecurities, and verbally communicating with someone that the problems are. At this point, I don't feel comfortable talking to him about it, which is why I'm talking to my phone like a dummy. That's what we do. We talk to our phones, right? Whenever we have a problem, we pick up our phone and stare at it like morons. So that's what I'm doing. So, 6 weeks out today, I'm feeling, I would say I'm slightly more confident at 6 weeks out than I would be previously training myself. So I'm feeling good. You know, I as the weeks go by, it's easier for me to trust in the system. So yeah, that was my rant. Not my rant. It wasn't a rant. It was a vent. That was my vent. And yeah, that's all I got.